Here's a question we've posed a few times on GRNR. Where are all the electric hot hatches? It seems like these days every single electric car has at least 400 horsepower, but where are the light, small, nimble ones? Well, it seems like the Italians have got there first, because this is the Abarth 500e. Vivid, isn't it? That colour's acid green, by the way. And on the face of it, it looks a lot like, well, it looks a lot like a Fiat 500. But why would they change it when there's so much heritage in the name Fiat 500? Have a closer look and you'll start to notice the differences now. Firstly, it's an EV. No grille. Don't need that anymore. Just a great big word, Abarth here. We'll get on to what's under here a little bit later. But it is basically the Fiat 500e, just with a few small changes. For example, there's no LED light here, just some plastic. And I do rather like these little side repeater blades. They look very cool. Come around the side here, and Abarth really wants you to know who's building this car. This is the Scorpionissima launch model, only 1900 of which will be made. So it's got the word Abarth written down the side and those 18-inch alloys with scorpions in the middle. First time there's been 18s on an Abarth like this before. There's this scorpion logo on the side, which has a lightning bolt through the side, just in case somehow you forget that it's an EV. Round the back, again, very much Fiat 500, but it does have a great big diffuser at the back because it's sporty, so you've got to know that. But there is one difference here. Anyone who's ever been in an Abarth, near an Abarth, heard an Abarth go past, been in a building when there's been one within half a mile or so, knows that one of the things that Abarths do is make a lot more noise than perhaps they should. But now, there's no exhausts back there at all. So how are they going to solve that problem?
More on that a little later. Abarths have to be all about fun, about driving, maybe a little bit wild. It needs to have a little more than just a bright paint job and some bigger wheels. What about performance?
It's got 155 horsepower and 235 Newton meters through the front wheels. It'll do 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. Now, that all doesn't sound particularly impressive, but the standard Fiat 500e has 117 horsepower, so it is an uplift. It's actually slower to 60 miles an hour than the old 695, but only by about 0.1 of a second. And that's because it has about 30 horsepower less. However, this car is all about other things. It's wider than the outgoing car, and it has a longer wheelbase, which, combined with the way that it can deliver its power, means that it's been a full second faster around Abarth's test track than the 695 was. Also, and they say this is key, between 40 and 60 miles an hour, it's a second faster than the 695. A second in that small amount of time will mean that if you ever want to overtake someone, it will make a really big difference. It weighs 1,300 kilograms, which sounds like a reasonably large amount for such a small car, but then you consider the fact that its 42 kilowatt hours of batteries weighs 200 kilograms. And then you realize it's really quite a light car. And with all that, it means you should get around 150 miles of range.
The Abarth 500e comes with 3 driving modes. There's Turismo, which actually robs the 500e of 20 or so horsepower for your day-to-day efficient driving. Scorpion Street returns the power, but with max regen turned on. Both allow for one-pedal driving. Not much more has been said about the top-level Scorpion Track, but as you might have guessed, that's all about performance.
I think in here is where the most obvious changes have come. The old Abarth was fine inside, but the 500 that it was based on was really quite an old car by the end of its life. So the inside started to feel tired, a bit old-fashioned. This feels very much like something new. Alcantara is the order of the day almost everywhere, especially my favourite bit where they've swathed the whole of the dash in Alcantara, which is just lovely. The seats are a mixture of Alcantara and eco fibres, and you've got stitching, especially on this Scorpionissima version, that's in the 2 different colours you can get the car in, that acid green and poison blue. Edgy names, of course. There's a part Alcantara steering wheel with a flat bottom, which I'm always a little bit of a sucker for, and a full digital dash in there where you will have all of your settings for things like your mode and the 3 different modes that you have. Then there's now the same central display as you'd get on the Fiat 500. Altogether, it all feels elevated from where we were before, which, if I'm honest, is a bit of a good thing, because this car costs £38,000, which is about £10,000 more than the old one.
And now, this bit that you've all been waiting for. How can this be a noisy EV? Well, as standard, the car uses the sound of a guitar to soundtrack your getting in and getting out. But that doesn't solve the problem of making exciting noises.
What Abarth has done to solve that problem is that they've recorded the first few revs of the sound the old 695 made and then synthesized it so that you've got a sound that plays when you drive. But this is not just some piped in fake engine noise for you to listen to. This is on the outside, so it should sound properly loud. Actually, it sounds something like this. I'll tell you something, it's definitely loud.
We'll let you decide what you think of that.
Well, that is the Abarth 500e, what we reckon might be the first electric hot hatch in the world. But never mind that, what do you think? Will you buy one? Will you think about it? Let us know in the comments.